Hi everyone, this is Aishwarya. Welcome to a special program to mark the White Cane Safety Day, which is October 15, 2024. So, we have a special guest here who will be sharing his insights about his life and about cane, about accessibility, about inclusion, and so many more things. And without any ado, I would like to welcome our guest here, Tapas Bhardwaj, who's from New Delhi. He is the trustee and head inclusion of Raindrops Foundation, and he's also a consultant with United Nations. We are so glad that you could make it for this conversation.
Thanks, Aishwarya. It's a pleasure to be at your show, and my best wishes to everyone on this auspicious occasion of White Cane Safety Day.
Yeah, I always felt, Tapas, that white cane. Let me just tell the audience that both Tapas and I, we have visual impairment, and for us, being visually impaired, white cane is such an important part of our life. Like, if there were two things that I need to carry from home with, when I'm going out, that is my smartphone and white cane. Without these two, I don't think I'm leaving the house. So I'll just start off, Tapas, like, if you could tell us about your life and about visual impairment, we'll take it from there.
So, I was born as a premature child, and I have retinopathy disorder. And due to visual impairment, the usage of the assistive devices are a necessity for me. So, yeah, I mean, as you just said, that this process of having the accessible devices with us all the time, it is something which we can't afford to forget, or can't afford to leave also, because these are something which are a part of our life, and we are living with it. Wherever we are, we have these things with us. So it's the journey from the acceptance to the usage, and more importantly, to be proud about our assistive devices, about using them, and making sure that they are a part of our lives.
Absolutely, Tapas. I had worked as a counselor for 10
Mhm.
years at the LV Prasad Eye Institute, and I realized, like, counseling so many people uh, who uh, acquire visual impairment at a later stage of their life. It's very difficult for them to transform from the change from having vision, to having, complete vision loss. So but for you, as somebody who was born blind, how
Mhm.
is it for you, Tapas? Like, accepting that, okay, this is how it's gonna be, and when did you first start using your white cane? Can you tell us about it, please?
Uh, Aishwarya, so as a first person with disability in my family, um, it was very difficult for my family to accept that yes, I am a person with disability, because this was something they were encountering new, and they were not aware as to how to cater to the needs of a child with disability. I'll be consciously using the word disability because you know our type of disability comes after the fact that our recognition of the fact that we are disabled. This is something which should be the priority. Uh, you know, I still remember in my orientation and mobility training session, the first day when I was given the white cane. It was a shock for me because at home I had often heard that the grandfather using a stick to move from one place to another, or my grandmother using it. So why should I? Because at that time, as a kid, it was a kind of burden on to me as to why do I have to use it, or rather, can I have some escapism from this, or you know, why? why should people know from my cane that I am a person with disability?
Mm,
So these were some of the conflicts that were constantly raising in the heart. And yeah, so with the passage of the time, when we realize that yes, we have to move, and disability is something which is a matter of pride for me right
mm,
now. But this stage comes, it's a process. And at that time, 20 years before, we were not having the access to technology as we are having now. So our movement, that was more. So because right now you can log on to any YouTube channels and learn about the assistive devices, about
mm,
computers, about everything. But that time was something when we had to go to the various institutions to learn. And uh, having my education in an inclusive setup all through was
mm,
also one of the positive aspect which helped me to live inclusion. But at the same time, the lack of orientation and mobility training in the inclusive schools, which is something which we are even lacking today, because people don't have those opportunities to run with a white cane. And I often remember a friend of mine asking me to not use the white cane because of the fact that, you know, uh, I remember what that person said, that you have enough of arms to hold. Why do you need
mm,
this extended arms? Although this statement touched me a lot, but then the fact of the life is that human arms are not permanent, and this is something
mm,
which which is the very harsh reality of life. So
mm.
that's how it is, Aishwarya.
Beautiful, beautiful, Tapas. So, Tapas, tell us, like, okay, you said when the cane was first given to you, it was like, oh, why should I use it? Because my grandparents also use a cane. But when do you remember the early stages of you actually taking it out? And do you remember your first experience and independently walking around? How did you feel at that time?
My first experience of using a white cane, I still remember, was when I was 7 years old, and I had to go from my home to the my bank for some because being a minor, there had to be some formalities that had to be done from my end in terms of some thumb impression, because that's how it was at that time.
Mm,
So I had to go there. So I still remember, holding a white cane, moving out of the home, was a process which um, led to a lot of interactions with people. And some of the interactions were, uh, don't you have someone with you to help you out today? Or why are you going alone? Or the fact that, why are you holding this? We are there for you. Or the fact that, what is this? What you are having in your hand? Or how does it work? So these curiosities, these queries, these questions, these interactions, they were there during that first experience of mine. At the same time, the path was so inaccessible, because white cane doesn't ensures that our paths are accessible. It just ensures our movement. For that, we
mm,
require an accessible pathway to use our
mm,
white cane properly. So
mm,
I still remember so many potholes, so many, those poles which were standing in the way. And
mm.
I still remember one of my friend coming up to me and asking me that it's a broken golf club that you are using today. So these were some kind of assumptions that people had, and this experience was something which not only instilled a sense of confidence, but at the same time, it helped me to navigate more. Of course, there was a sense of shyness also for a matter of some days, as to, okay, I have to answer so many questions when I will be moving with this, or rather, um, uh, if I use this, would I fall? But then at the end of the day, you know, adoption of technology was something which was a priority for my family, and they ensured that I adopt the devices, the technology that is there for us. Because it same goes with the phones, those
Mm,
Symbians phones which we used to have previously, the keypad phones.
mm,
And you know how I still remember that the screen reading software, it had to be downloaded. We had to buy that screen reading software for the phone, and today you see the iOS and the Android platforms having it, by default in the phone. So that's how it is, if we use the technology enough, that then of course technology makers would be forced to sort of provide such kind of, you would say, accessibility needs in their devices. So that's
mm.
how it is.
You mentioned about accessibility, Tapas. I'm going to come to that because infrastructural accessibility is like tandoori chicken for me. I love talking about it. So, but I'm going to come to that in a while. But before that, I wanted to check with you. What is you gave a gist of, okay, people, this is what people think. But I really want, the viewers here to know, like, the different perceptions of people around us. It could be a stranger on the road, it could be a colleague, it could be a friend or a family member. So what are the different perceptions do people have when you use a cane? Like example, when I use a cane and walk around, most of the people outside feel sympathized. Oh, she's visually impaired,
Mhm,
she
mhm,
cannot see. Or some people, right at my face, they said, why do you even come out when you're a blind person? Or it could be some actually said like, uh, why do you even want to use a cane? Do you want to make everybody feel pity for you? So these
mhm.
are an ideas, th- the perceptions that people around me have had. But some, I'm blessed to have many people who really supported me. They said, no,
Mhm,
you're going to do it. They won't
mhm.
even come to, they may be around me, but they will not come to help me when I'm trying to figure out some things in a safe environment. So, what about you, Tapas? How was it for you?
So there is a direct correlation between the usage of our device and the, kind of relation we share with that person. For a stranger, it can be a very simple fact that, okay, someone is passing by having an assistive device. Now, out of curiosity, that person can definitely come to us and ask that, yes, what are you using, or why are you using it? But this may not be the case always, because people are so much engrossed in their own lives that they don't even notice that
Hmm.
someone is passing by. And at times, we bang on to people because of this,
Yeah.
because they are not noticing as to someone is,
And
approaching. Yeah, yeah. Please
and
carry on,
sorry,
Ashwarya.
Tapas, I had to add this. Many times, I've had instances where people, we are like, uh, I'm walking adjacent to them, and then people try to jump over my cane. I don't know, maybe they're in a rush to catch the bus, or I have no clue. But I see that not many wait for you to pass by, because obviously we cannot see and we are just walking straight. But some people do jump on your cane, and sometimes they step on your cane as well. Has that happened to you,
Yeah,
Tapas?
it has happened. It has happened, and but two, three of my white canes, they broke because of that.
Oh.
No one even gave me compensation for that. It is something, we have insurance of the vehicles, but not of our assistive devices. We do hope for a day when we have insurance of our assistive devices. So
Hmm.
that's how it is. And for the close people, someone who is a friend, it happens when we are moving, they want to talk to us, but then our speed is a bit limited at the time when we are using our white cane. And
Hmm.
people who do not have visual impairment, they mostly move at fast pace. So due to this, the speed doesn't match, and then it's like, can you please keep it? Like we'll just put hand in hand, and we'll go, and we'll sort of talk comfortably. So this is
Hmm.
how. And then, some of the people, they get motivated also, because
Hmm.
it sends a sense of curiosity that, okay, that person is a, they want to ask as to why are you using this, or how do you use it, and this paves the way for the new innovators
Hmm.
who are children, who would be innovating things tomorrow. And now we have children innovating at such young age,
Hmm.
new devices and everything. So this is how it helps also. And some people,
Hmm.
as you rightly pointed out, they just want to sympathize. Okay, you have to use this, it is a burden on you, please don't use it, we are there for you. I mean, these devices are the recognition of our identity. Why to shy
Hmm.
away from using them? And
Absolutely.
it's the message for the persons with disabilities who are listening to us today, that come on, make your white cane your friend. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
white represents prosperity, it represents transparency. So
Hmm.
let's be transparent enough and use it happily. Let's
Hmm.
embrace our white canes.
Hmm. Talking of, you mentioned that you were in an inclusive school, Tapas. So, and it's very rare to find a school that actually gives admission, although there are circulars that saying that the schools cannot deny admission to children with disabilities. According to you, how important it is for the, you know, for a not for a child without disability to understand the, the challenges of a child with disability, because at that young age it really matters to, okay, this is my friend's problem and I can sort it out this way. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So, when we look at it legislatively, Aishwarya, we have the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016, which talks about the inclusive education under Section 2M of the Act, which defines inclusive education as children with and without disabilities studying together.
Hmm.
Now, in the previous act that we had of the 1995, this
PWD
act,
Act.
PWD Act, this act was not uh, mandating inclusive education. Rather, special education was a normative behavior for this act. However, the grand norm for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 is the inclusive education. I- And,
Hmm.
if we go to section 16 and section 17 of the act, there is a proper plan of action which has been laid down by the government in terms of how the education has to be provided, how the various amenities in the schools, educational institutions, they have to be provided. These kind of all the necessities have been laid out. And
Hmm.
as you just pointed out, how important it is, it is as important for a person with disability to know the disability. It is as important for the person without disability to know about the disability, because of the fact that, you know, disability doesn't tell that, yes, I am approaching. It
Hmm.
approach it approaches suddenly, or it can
Hmm.
happen to anyone. We
Hmm.
can't segregate that. No one can take the guarantee that I won't be a person with disability, or throughout my life, no one can't take this guarantee. If And at the same time, you know why do we insure ourselves?
Hmm.
Insurance, we buy insurance. Why do we buy it? We buy it for the days, when something untoward happens, then we take the assistance of that insurance.
Mm,
That's the basic fundamental of buying an insurance, whether it's a life insurance, it's a health insurance, or it's a vehicle insurance.
mm,
Similarly, disability is a concept which has to be learned as efficiently as one can do, because it is something which can happen to everyone. And yeah, why to shy away from this? Why to see disability as a curse, as a burden? Because we often, see political leaders talking about caste census, that let's have the caste census in our country. Why don't we move towards disability disaggregated census, which is the need of the hour? We don't know how many we are, because in
mm,
2011 we were counted as 2.21%, and now we have 21 disabilities, but we don't know how many we are.
true.
So how will the policies be made, and how will this inclusive education uh, dream that this
Mm,
rights of persons with disabilities act has brought, how will we ensure this dream? Section 17(1)(a) talks about a survey which had to be conducted in 5 years for assessing the needs of the children with disabilities in the school, and the first survey had to be conducted within the 2 years framework of the passage of the act. But unfortunately we don't have any survey as of now. So yeah, the government needs to take this seriously.
yeah. How will we achieve this dream? That's a strong question, Tapas. Uh, Tapas, your background is in human rights and law. Could you tell us about your work with, Raindrops as well as other organizations that you are associated with, and what's your main focus and what's your objective, in taking up this role?
uh, so Raindrops is focused on the upliftment of the marginalized sections of the society, and which includes the persons with disabilities as well. And we are into advocacy and sensitization. And my professional work, in terms of the human rights law, just that you just pointed out, it is in terms of getting to the organizations as to how the inclusive policies are to be made for persons with disabilities first. Secondly, to ensure that they are executed, we need advocacy and sensitization campaigns, so drafting those campaigns. And thirdly, ensuring that the voices of the people with disabilities are heard in a diversified manner at different
Mm,
platforms, because uh, each disability has its own challenges and its own positivities. So we need to amalgamate these and synchronize these in order to ensure that my challenges and a challenge for a friend of mine who is person with hearing disability or who is using a wheelchair, they are heard at the same time, and amicable solutions are given to curve those challenges. So that's what essentially I do.
I'm so happy to know about your work, Tapas, because one thing is you are at a level where it concerns policy making, and also that you are a person with disability at this stage, at this level, making these policies, which does make a big difference. So I really hope the best for you in whatever you do. Moving on to my next question, Tapas, is about infrastructural accessibility. See, somebody who's visually impaired, they will definitely learn how to use a cane, and they will have the zeal, the willingness to use it, whether in their school, college, university, or workplace, or even just going out.
Mhm.
But I've seen what deters them is they are able to commute through, like, say, a cab or bus or taxi, whatever. But when it comes to walking on the road, they are scared. So yeah, because the footpaths are obviously, they are not in proper condition, or it has been taken up by the vendors. So you actually bump into vendors. One day I actually stepped onto tomatoes on the road because that was the vendor's place. So
Oh,
it was on the footpath.
yeah.
So this is the thing. So what is your take on it, Tapas?
Uh, Aishwarya, this topic needs to be looked from the lens of different agencies working together in order to ensure that the path is accessible. Because to ensure that there is no encroachment on the road, we need the support of the municipal corporation or the municipal agencies that are working to ensure that the path is accessible, the footpaths are made properly. We need the support of the public works department to ensure that, you know, I one day accidentally banged onto a motor vehicle which was parked onto a footpath. So
Oh.
this is something which is this civic sense has to be there for the people who are driving. So we need some support from the road transport authorities. Uh, so, you know, it's about learning as to the fact that this road doesn't only belongs to us.
Hmm.
This belongs to all. And when we say that, natural resources of the country belongs to everyone, for the sustainability purpose, we have only reached to the fact that water, air, earth, it belongs to all. But everything that we are using for public good or for the public support, it belongs to all. If a
Hmm.
cafe is not accessible, it is simply meaning that this doesn't belongs to me. And
Hmm.
what was the fight at the time of independence? Why were our freedom fighters so discouraged when they literally read that dogs and Indians are not allowed? It is not expressly written over here that persons with disabilities are not allowed, but yes, they mean this only. When they are
Hmm.
not allowing us in the cafes, when they are not allowing us to move onto the roads. So, can we not ask the people to talk about us, to make us, you know, visible? Why we are not the part of the implementation agencies?
Hmm.
Because it is, you make a footpath, it is not accessible, then someone will find an RTI, and then the whole process will begin. The footpath will be demolished and again it will be made accessible. Can we make it from the scratch that it is accessible? So these things need to be looked from the point of view of representation,
Hmm.
equality, and then ensuring that access is there. So these are the 3 points: representation, equality, and access.
Beautifully put, Tapas. It's very important that all the points you mentioned are so important, and I'm really hoping, like I traveled to Dubai and I was in the USA, and when I see the accessibility there, I'm not saying oh it is better there, but then you're able to walk without any obstacle, and that freedom of walking into any place without any hurdle is such a comfort, and I want to see that in my own country, and I hope to see
Yeah,
that soon.
let's hope so. People, uh, you are doing such a wonderful work with your organization, and which is some a wonderful work in terms of how we can recognize our day-to-day products by the use of the uh, tags,
QAnon,
space felt
yeah.
tags, and the QR codes that are there. I would like to congratulate you for this. And yeah, let's all work together to make an inclusive, accessible, and an equal India.
Thank you so much, Tapas. Thanks a lot. So that was, you know what, after having so much of conversation with you, I feel like just going on talking and talking and, knowing your insights and experiences. But, we are almost coming to the conclusion of this conversation. But before that, I have two more questions for you. On a very lighter note, so
Mhm.
tell us about your any funny story you using white cane. Do you have any in mind?
Uh, Absolutely. I have a funny story while using white cane, and this funny story takes me to the fact that when I was in the school, and I was going to the kindergarten section of the school, and when I was going over there, the children, they started to run
Oh
from
shit.
one place to another. And I was accompanied by some of my friends, and I asked them what happened to them, and they were like, they are scared of you. They're scared of this stick that you are holding in your hand. And I then invited one of them to hold, and they were like, we don't even want to hold this because this is looking something very scary. This is something, this is just like a weapon. So, that day I felt that, it's a lack on our part that we are unable to sort of sensitize people with regard to the orientation and mobility aspect that we, the people with disabilities, carry in our day-to-day lives.
I get that. I can imagine what you must have done to them, Tapas. I know you must have scared the poor things out, so that's why they were running. No wonder. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
Great,
No,
great,
no, it's
Tapas.
always, it's always, for the kids, it's always a sense of excitement, as to why we
Mm,
are using. For this happens with the brailler also, the braille slate that we use, or the tailor
mm,
frame that we use for our mathematics. It happens that they're excited to see that what's it all about. But
mm,
our inclusive education unfortunately doesn't have any course with regard to how we use these assistive technology, or why do we use these technologies.
mm. That's true. And that was my very last question, but it is important. What do you, there are many people, who are listening to you right now. Some of them could be visually impaired who are still not ready yet to use a cane, because Indian society, there is, still a stigma about disability, and there is cane shame still associated with, O&M. What is your message to them? What is your message to those visually impaired who are somewhere in between of using and not using a cane?
If you don't love yourself, if you don't like yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't accept yourself, if you don't expect from yourself, no one will do. So start loving, liking, accepting, expecting, and respecting yourself.
Wow. Well said, Tapas. Well said. I had goosebumps when you said that. Acceptance of your own self is so important. And, for somebody, if you want to be independent, then, it has to start somewhere. And on that note, I'd like to convey a big, big, big thank you to you, Tapas, for coming on to our show. And
It's
what you
my pleasure,
spoke.
Aishwarya. It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Tapas. Thank you. And what you spoke, about your experiences using a white cane, I'm sure many out there would be reflecting on the same lines as you shared, and the sections, the law perspective that you got in. And also the accessibility, the importance of accessibility, beautifully said. And thank you for all those insights. And it's been a pleasure hosting you here. Thank you, Tapas.
Same here.
Yeah. And to all our viewers, this we are signing off now. This is a program by Grailmaker Innovations to mark the White Cane Safety Day, and I hope you all enjoyed watching this show. And if you have any queries or if you want to be a part of our conversations, you can send in your messages to our WhatsApp number, which is 8520818879, or you can write to spacefiltapp@gmail.com. The YouTube description will also have these details. We hope you have a lovely day and happy White Cane Safety Day. Take care. Bye bye.